Hi there, it's Kevin with Roguedeckbuilder.com here with a call to arms. A little bit depressed right now after seeing this last standard daily, and us roguers really need to get on the ball here. I know it's this rotation time, and a lot of us are brewing new decks, aren't concentrating on the current meta, but this list made me cry, and I'll tell you why. There are absolutely zero rogue decks in this last standard daily for MTGO. I think that's why I actually got spotlighted by LSV on the deck of the week, is when I was on that day that I actually went 3-1 with my Bug Mortal Servitude. The list looked a lot like this. Some poor writers, they have nothing else to write about. Oh, by the way, I actually Googled my Bug Immortal Servitude deck, and there was like 3 or 4 authors that wrote about it on various web pages, so I kind of find it pretty funny. What I was disappointed was that none of them had the decency to actually give me a shout out or link to my YouTube channel or anything. They just took my deck and wrote about it, and some of them, they were completely off. Like, ooh, this deck should have this card in it, or this is why they put this card in it, and they were completely off. I mean, that is not the use of the card. Every card in that Bug Mortal Servitude had a specific use, and they were completely off. Anyway, we'll quit talking about that right now. We'll get back to this. So this is a call to arms. Us roguers, us Johnnies, we really need to start playing these standard days. We really need to start representing. These decks aren't better, in my opinion, than your average rogue or maverick type deck. And the reason why there's so many of these decks is because your average Magic player has zero creativity. I'll say it again, they have zero creativity. They just take net decks, they play the same damn lists over and over and over, and that's why you see these decks perform very well. I mean, I've been able to 3-1 with plenty of rogue decks in the past, where, or like a couple of premieres too. I've been able to top 8 in some premieres and things like that with completely rogue decks. And these are unrefined decks and untested decks, and it's just me, one player, actually playing them. I just could imagine if we had the same amount of players playing Bug Servitude or Hell's Lookout or some of these other decks that I've had some success with. If there's like 30 people playing these in a standard daily, like there is playing, BG. Thragtusk is what I like to call it, or they call it the Rock. But so let's just look down this list and I'll show you. I mean, this first deck, this Kris Kringle deck's kind of cool because at least he did have some creativity. This is what I'm talking about, creativity. I was just looking over some Nivik Cyclops Pauper decks, and I was like, why? Because I was talking to a YouTube fan about, he was making a casual Nivik Cyclops deck, and I told him, well, if you're not worried about formats, then throw in Reckless Charge, because Reckless Charge is amazing with Nivik Cyclops. So I checked MTG Goldfish for the meta game for the Pauper, and there's some Nivik Cyclops, they call it. I can't remember what they call it, but it's like a Delver of Secrets and Kiln Fiend and Nivik Cyclops deck, and not one of them was using Reckless Charge. I'm like, what? The card is so amazing in the it's a flashback spell. It gives your dude haste and +3/+0 on top of all the triggers you're gonna get. So it's just an awesome card in the format, and it's just, all these players have zero creativity. But at least a little bit of shout out to this guy, because at least he threw some Aurelia the War Leaders into the UWR control list. So anyway, let's just go down here. So we've got BG Thragtusk. All right. We have the Aristocrats. Okay. We have green red aggro. We have Esper control. All right. Okay. We got Jund. We've got blue white control. We've got BG Thragtusk. Back to red deck wins. Back to red deck wins. Back to black blue control. So I mean, it's just I'm lumping all these blue controls in the same thing. Esper, U white control, and black blue control are the same deck, basically. I mean, there's the blue shell, and then pick your splash. Red deck wins. Then we have red deck wins. Then we have BG Thragtusk. Then we have BG Thragtusk. Then we have Aristocrats. Then we have red deck wins. Then we have green red aggro, which is just red deck wins. If you're honest, all this deck does is put in. No Kessig here? I wonder why. Kessig's such a great card, great splashable card. But I mean, the only green card in here is the Plymouth Boars and the Gorkland Rampagers. And then we have another RG aggro deck. Then we have another red deck wins. Then we have another RG aggro. Back to another aristocrats. Back to another BG Thragtusk. Another BG Thragtusk. There we go. And this one is another aristocrats. And actually, this is just, let's see. Oh, this is just black-red zombies. But, I mean, this deck's been around forever, too. Hey, and there's our first deck that isn't the Tier 1 copy deck.net or netdeck.com deck. So, but this deck has also seen a lot of play before. This is the deck that Craig Wesco actually did brew. See, there you have it. See, Craig Wesco, he brews basically a unique deck. Well, he always goes kind of white weenie, but it took him to actually play this deck before all of the fanboys started picking up and playing it. And the only reason they, and it was a good deck before Craig Wesco brewed it. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That no creativity. This went and read a Craig Wesco article and then I'm gonna print this deck out and play it. And then here we are back to red deck wins, and here we are again to red deck wins, and back to the aristocrats. And so, I mean, what is there? I've gone through like maybe 5 decks, and that's including like all these blue control variants. So, I mean, they're, like I said, these are the same decks. They're basically the exact same. One uses Restoration Angel. Well, I guess this goes for, I mean, you got Sphinx's Revelation for the white version versus the Opportunity for the blue version. You have a lot of removal in the black version, but in the blue version you have Azorius Charm that is kind of like removal because it puts it back on top of the library. And then you've got the huge sweeper and Supreme Verdict. But I mean, the decks are very, very similar. They play very similar. Again, I mean, if you're playing a deck, you're going to play basically the same way against both of these. Then we have the BG Thragtusk deck. And again, we're back to red deck wins. Goes on and on and on. And here's kind of like Black-White Humans, which has been a deck before. But look at that. No creativity. This is sad. This is so sad that all these standard dailies, not one rogue deck was finished in a top 3-1. So I don't know. This disappoints me. Magic is, there's so many ideas and possibilities and synergies in Magic that are competitive, and I don't understand why your average Magic player can't pick up some cards and start brewing. I mean, it's these same old. I mean, someone had to brew this deck to begin with, and usually it was a pro. Like this was LSV. LSV brewed this BG or the blue black control deck, and as soon as he posted it, people started playing it. Red deck wins is probably just a play all the efficient red cards you can. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. The archetype always exists in every standard format. So I mean, and then again, I think it took I can't remember who started the black-green, but as soon as they played it, everyone ditched Jund and went to black-green. And oh man, I don't know. I don't know why I'm so upset today. Why I was looking for some deck ideas. I was looking for, I wonder if there's some cool decks here, and I had to run across netdeck.com standard daily, and I was very disappointed. So yeah, it's a good way to get your name out there. Like I said, a lot of the reason, like that Bug Immortal Servitude picked up by LSV and reviewed, just because it's something fresh. And again, it did. I've gone 3-1 4 times in standard dailies with the Bug Servitude list, and that doesn't count all the 2-man and 8-man queues that I've won an 8-man queue with the Bug Immortal Servitude list. It's a great deck. It actually works pretty well against the format. Very good against black-green. All you have to do is worry about their and this one doesn't even use any oozes right here. But you have to worry about their scavenging oozes, but you have so much hate for it. And I guess the decks that is weak against is very weak against the blue control variants, but it's not winnable. You do have your negates and cards like that. They can actually, if you can just land one Immortal Servitude, you're usually good. It's very good against the aristocrat decks. It's extremely good against red deck wins, and it's very, 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 very good against Jund. Again, all you have to worry about is a Rakdos' Return, which this one doesn't seem like it's playing main board. Only 2 in the sideboard. You do have to worry about Slaughter Games as well, but a lot of times you can outrace the Slaughter Games with your own Duresses. And again, this one doesn't even seem like it uses it. So, I mean, I'm just bringing up Bug Immortal Servitude because, like I said, it's got a very good... If there was 30 players playing Bug Immortal Servitude, you'd see a lot more 3-1-4-0 finishes. I don't even think I'm a very good player. I think I'm a great deck builder. And if there was, like, actually a great player that didn't make all the horrible mistakes that I made, that was actually piloting a deck like that, I think they could go very far. You got to remember, the Aristocrats was kind of a rogue deck when Sam Black started brewing it, and then everyone picked it up as soon as it won a Pro Tour. These guys are just sheep, and it's kind of disappointing about how many net deckers there are out there. And I mean, it's fine to actually play a net deck, and it's fine to get comfortable with a deck and play it an entire season. But, oh man, that is not my Magic experience. My Magic experience is brewing and all the connections and ideas. I mean, that's why we have so many cards. Might as well, if this is the state of Standard, we might as well just like print like these theme decks, like a Sorin versus T-Balt, but just have a UWR versus black-green control, and just print it and be like, oh, there you guys can pick up your deck and we'll play it like a two-player board game, like, oh, here's this side versus this side. Just incredibly boring. So this is a call to arms, call to action. I want more Roguers out there. Let's start brewing those decks. We're going to have Rogue Deck of the Month up as soon as the Theros is released. I'm going to work hard on a functioning deck uploader, but if we don't have that done by time, we'll just use Reddit again. I'll go to r/Roguedeckbuilder, and then you'll be able to use a third-party deck uploader like TappedOut.net or TCG Player or whatnot. And again, we'll do a Rogue Deck of the Month competition because I want this Rogue community to get excited. I want new brews. I want us to start actually making waves and finishing highly in tournaments, especially on MTGO. Let's show these spikes that us Johnnies can compete with their net decks. Anyway, this is Kevin with RogueDeckbuilder.com. Thanks for watching.